Hello, this is Kurt Franklin with Fiddler Studios, and here's your website analysis in about 5 minutes. And whenever I do a website analysis, I do so from two perspectives. One is from the perspective of the usability or the human eye that's going to see the website, and two is from the Google perspective. Is Google understanding your website enough to rank you for keywords that potential clients are going to be searching when looking for a service that you provide? And what I see now is the way the website's built. It looks like it's been a few years since you've updated, just because the format, these wide empty spaces on the side and so forth. Maybe that it's been a while since you've updated, which you're not alone in this. There's a lot of businesses in that situation. But by updating it, giving it a fresh, modern look and feel to it, it can really add a lot of credibility. Similar to maybe when somebody walks in your offices on 13th East, probably has a very professional feel to it because you are in a business where you're focusing on executives and so forth, and so you have to make sure your bar is pretty high as far as how you're branding yourself, and your website should have that same look and feel. And then, but it looks like nonetheless you have a lot of good content here, and this is usually, I would guess, somebody isn't going to spend a lot of time reading through this, but nonetheless it's good for Google to have that in there. And from a usability standpoint, I always ask myself when I come to this website, is it obvious what this website wants me to do? Maybe you just simply want them to call you and email, and maybe 99% of the people that come to your website simply just want to call you. And so it's great that you have that obvious there, contact methods that make it very easy to submit a resume, info, and so forth. I would ask yourself, is there anything else that you'd want the person to do, or is it simply to call them? Maybe there's a strong thing to do is add a video on your website, regardless of what industry you're in. To see the people that work there, it kind of humanizes the feeling of the business, where you have some stock photos here. I assume they're stock photos, and that kind of just doesn't humanize it as much as it could to get people to call you and so forth. But you have a very simple menu here in case people want to know how you work, functional expertise, so forth, about us. It's all there, so that's great. Now as I click through here, each page just kind of goes just chunks of text after chunks of text, which doesn't necessarily make it as engaging as it could be. Again, for Google, that's great because they're able to scan this and really understand the type of business you are. But for example, the case studies, I think there's some additional things you could do to make it more engaging. Also, websites with blogs have 50% more traffic than websites that don't. And so a lot of business owners think, well, I don't got time to blog, or how am I going to fit that in? Nonetheless, there's various tactics that you can use to still feed content on your page, because Google is looking at that. They're saying, okay, it has a lot of this content, but that's been there for a long time. Is this an actively changing website, or is it simply static? And so that's why it gets so much more traffic, because they're going to rank you if you're an actively changing website with more blog content. So that's an important part there. Now we can look at, if we take your domain here, and we can see how many pages Google's indexing. Okay, so it says Google has about 30 results when we just search under your domain name. And so this is what's on Google's servers that Google's trying to use to say, what keywords should I be ranking them for? And again, by having a blog, this is going to be this number is going to be going up, 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 and up, and that's good for Google. Google likes to see that. The other thing we look at, going back to your page to see if it's optimized for Google, is we go to your home page and then we look at the back end of the website. This is all the HTML code. And this is exactly what Google's computers are scanning to understand what this business is all about. And so the first thing they're going to look at is the title tag. And you have a decent title tag here. Executive Job Placement, Utah. Experience Executive Placement Consultants. Great. Has your location, good strong keywords. You could probably get away with just leaving it that way, which is great. The next thing Google looks for is your heading tags. And in your heading tag you have the name of your business, Executive Job Placement Consultants. A little redundant from your title tag, where this should be something more specific keywords. You know, find the executives now or submit application or something like that. I mean, that's a long discussion to figure out what it should be. But you don't want to duplicate just what your title tag says. Then the next thing you're looking for is any secondary heading tags, which is under H2. And so you've got 2 of those. That looks great. Wonderful. Next one is the contact our Utah executive search firm today. That looks good too. So really the website is optimized for the most part. A blog is going to help adding more content there, but nonetheless I think there's a lot you can do to really modernize the website and so forth. So my name is Kurt Frankum. I own this business called Fiddler Studios, and I consult with businesses just like yours around the valley, around the country really, and help them understand how your website is looking online. Is it accomplishing what you want it to accomplish? Oh, the last thing I would look at is whether you have analytics, which you do. And so this is a great tool, and a lot of business owners don't know how to read it. One thing I'd be happy to do is we can find a time to talk over the phone, or I can come into your office, and I can go through that with you and just explain what's happening with your analytics and you know, what's working, what's not. I mean, that'll tell you everything from who's coming to your website, how did they get there, what did they type into Google to find you, and so forth. And then from that information, you can start making business decisions, and it's really quite helpful. So anyways, you can come to our website. I'm down here. I'm Kurt, and I'd love to set up a time to talk more in depth and answer more specific questions that you would have about your website. Talk to you soon.